Welcome. This is Carol Mixon, and today I'm going to be talking about sales leads and follow-ups. This is so important, especially during the COVID-19 timing we have now. People want more help in making the sale easy and contactless. Let's start talking about lead generators. There are ways that we get leads, and one of them is from a website. That'll be sort of primarily most storage properties have their leads coming from their website. You can also have brand awareness campaigns that you're doing. That may be billboards, that's on TV, radio, whatever way that you're doing that. Maybe it's your truck driving around with your phone number on it. So those are awareness programs. And we also have aggregators, and this is like different types of people that service the self-storage industry. Sparefoot is an example. So those are people that provide us with leads. Our number one priority in self-storage when a call is coming in or when a person walks through that door is renting the space. And that's the whole objective, right? We need to do that to keep the spaces full to when they move out and get new people in. So we're looking for those online leads that you're getting from your website. We're looking at it from the aggregators. We're looking at it from the telephone lead side. When someone calls into the store and you take the phone call, that lead is so important to follow up on. And we also have walk-in leads. So all of these things are filtered into one area, and you get your leads, you do your sales calls following up with people, and then you convert them, and when you convert them, it makes the sale. And this process is so important. And you may have 100 leads during a month, and then it just goes down, 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 like the funnel shows here, to where you may have 25 rentals. So that's not unlikely that you might have 100 leads and only 25 rentals. It could be because you're very full. Let's just say if you have a new property and people are calling you, you should have incentives, discounts, something to get that person to rent and then fill up quicker. So, but the more mature the property, the less you're going to require or need those incentives that are deeply discounted or something like that. So all of these leads are super important. But you know, one of the things just to talk about when you're talking about leads is what are we doing? What are we doing with our discounts, holding spaces or reserving spaces? And you need to have some limitations on those things. For example, if you have a free move-in truck, man, you should be saying that in every single call. There shouldn't be a call that you have that you're not talking about your move-in truck. You want that move-in truck out on the road because it's signage and it gets the customers in a little cheaper than they would if you didn't have the truck. So it's a great service to have. And if you're giving it free to the customer, it's a great savings for them. Also, you need to limit the length of time if you have discounts. Let's say you bring them in for $25 instead of the normal rate of $50. You wouldn't want to leave them at $25 for very long. Just say the first 2 months are half price, half off of first 2 months, or maybe just that first month. Think about how much you're giving away, because all of this is so important as the customer matures and they move on. We want to use the least amount of promotion we have to get the customer to rent while still renting the space. So I wouldn't say that everyone had to have, right? I would say, with my stores, I would not have the same special on every single size, because every single size is a different product. So if you're 100% full in your parking, why would you be giving any discount when you have something that opens up? You really don't have to, unless it was some odd space or something you were having trouble renting. Then you could put some kind of special on it to get someone in. So you want to make sure that you're limiting the length of time of those discounts, because it really does hurt the property if you continue giving them indefinitely. So maybe you say it's for the first 2 months or 3 months. I think sometimes the worst thing that's happened to me is leaving someone on, that half price for 6 months, and then they get used to that, and then when it doubles and goes up, they're like, wait a minute, my rent went up. Well, they forgot that when they moved in that it was, so they got 6 months at a lower rate. So make them shorter in terms if you can, the term of the length of time. Also have specific policies for your holding or reserving spaces. Is that a deposit? Is it a $25 deposit or a $50 deposit, some kind of deposit you might require? Or maybe it's free. Maybe you say I will reserve something for 3 days for free, and then you have those 3 days to come in. So think about that, how you're going to do that. But I would not take a deposit or reserve something if you're completely full. It should be last one, it's first come, first serve. That's what I would say. But, you know, yeah, you're not paying for this right now, my expertise here, right? One of the things I'd like you to think about is hooking the customer with a promotion. And so I thought about my time when I love fishing. And okay, I've never caught a catfish this big. Look at this sucker. I think it would be exciting, but I'm not sure I could actually get that thing in. But the thing is, you've got to get a sense of urgency. If you sat there and you had your little, let's say you had a bobber in the water and it kept going down, it kept, you know, something was nibbling on it and you never set the hook and to get it reeled in, you'd never catch a fish. They just eat the bait off slowly. So you want to get them to rent and give them a sense of urgency. And you might do that with free time. They may get the first month free. Again, you'd have probably an admin fee or something like that for the first month, or $1 or whatever it may be. You could also think about, remember what I said about the discounting, watch that, avoid discounting for too long, and or maybe try some free boxes or packing and moving supplies or that move-in truck. All of those things can hook that customer with some kind of promotion. Boy, I love that fish. Look at those two guys. The guy on the right is super happy to be there. He's like, my drinking buddies are going to love this big fish story and never believe it. And then the other guy's barely holding up his end. He got the heavy end, I'm thinking. That's my thinking. That's kind of nasty, though. You know, that's got a thing that's going to smell terrible. Okay, back to reality here. Self-storage reality. Sales checklist. I think it's so important to have something near the phone that helps you be able to go through the call. And I'm just saying, if you can do it in front of the computer, that's fine. If your setup doesn't allow you to do that, use something like this checklist because it keeps you on track in your messaging. It organizes a sale, and there's a place at the very bottom to track the source and their person's name and how you're going to reach them in the future, whether that's email or whatever it is. So that's the way to keep track of them, and then you can put them in the computer later on. I'd like you to use your software to track and follow up leads. It's so important. And you know, you can go to if they're a current tenant, boy, that's so easy. If they've rented from you before, that's awesome. Or you can do the lead to lease, which will get you right to putting all their information in that you'll need about holding or reserving the space for the customer. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're keeping it organized. And I believe every bit of this should be in the computer so you can follow it up. So the next day, or maybe I'd say that next day or several days before they need it, like let's say they don't need it until the 1st and it's the 25th, you might say, okay, the 28th, I'm going to call them. Set up guidelines in your company so you know what to do and everyone's doing the same thing. And make sure internally in your store, everyone's doing the same thing. Be sure to tell them if it's the only one left. I think I've had customers in the past said, well, you never said it was the last one, I would have rented it. Wow, that's, you know, and if that's true, but I do like to be truthful about this, but I don't want to tell them if we have 100 left, but I might say, yeah, we do have a few of those left. So you don't have to tell them that there's 100 when you're brand new. So you need to remember to be sure to ask how they want to be contacted. Some people like the phone, some people like by email, some text. There are a variety of different ways now that we can contact people. And I just listened to a lady the other day, she goes, oh no, I don't have an email. She's an older lady. She said, you're just gonna have to use the telephone. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. You know, that lady she knew that they were going to ask already. But if you can, get their email, their phone number, everything that you can, and ask them how they would like to be contacted. That's the best way to do it. And let them know. I'll be following up with you in a couple of days and letting you know if we, you know, or if we get down to one, I'll be calling you so you know where we're at. So when you're monitoring these leads throughout the day, you want to look at your leads that you have, the reservations that you're looking for, and if someone hasn't come in on their day, like let's say they were supposed to come in earlier in the morning, you might call them and say, hey, just wanted to verify you're still interested in this space, and I'll keep holding it for you, or when do you need it, anything like that. Anything that's going to remind the customer that they need to do something. They may have forgotten. They may have been getting the truck. They may have been doing something else or just trying to organize and clean and move and not really thinking about getting in the storage space, even though they'd called you originally. So and set up appointments for them to visit, especially during COVID. It's so important to maybe not have so many people in the office at one time. You can rent over the phone. Believe it or not, you can actually do that. You can send a DocuSign, have them sign it and send it back to you, and then come in just quickly to verify their ID, and then they can start moving in. So you can certainly be COVID-19 friendly at your property too, which makes it really awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. So important to subscribe because I'm still trying to catch up with my son, and no, I don't think it's going to happen. Frankly, I don't think the storage side and the gaming things that my son does are relatively in the same even universe. So you can reach me at Carol Mixon at carol@skillcheck.com, or you can call my 1-800 number. And please let me know if you have any particular topics that you would like me to talk about. I've had some great webinars already that people have asked for certain topics. So I think it'd be great if you would send something my way and I'll work on it. And I'll give you credit too if you let me. Anyway, thank you so much and happy renting.